Greetings, Jedi traders. David here of TradingFibs.com to bring you the daily trend and end of the week for week 26th. Today being July 1st, 2016. Half the year gone. As always, please seek financial advisement when trading with your money, as these videos are for educational purposes only. Support your knowledge in the market. See what's going through my head at any given day. Always make sure you have a solid trading plan and always manage your stop when placing a trade. All right, let's just jump right into it. Economic data for the day. Wrapping it up for the week, we had PMI, ISM manufacturing, Fed speaker up, and rig count. So nothing of significance. ISM was a mover today. Good numbers across the board. Let's jump right into the numbers for the week. Looking at the weekly total, 22 setups. Majority of those on the NQ, 762 for the week, a total of 979. Please feel free to scroll. If this is your first time watching the video, scroll through each day here. You can get each individual stats, including charts and setups in trend as well. Looking at the last day, July 1st here, as we roll into the new month. 3 markets, 3 setup, 1 setup on each for a total of 243 ticks. There it is, majority of them on the NQ. Where did our market set up? Oh yes, take a look at that big picture, guys. Taking a look, if you think back a week ago, that's right, you were probably thinking this market was just falling out of the sky. Look at that. Huge open gap, open gap, open gap. We just pretty much closed out all the open gaps that we had downside and upside now. Price action making an almost nice V recovery all across the board. So regardless of whatever your bias was in the market, the goal was to not keep that bias and just watch the charts in front of you. There was the pre-market setup, buy signal across the board on 3 to 4 charts in the green. Nice movement. And then we got into price action right away. That was about post 4 minutes, of the market open, 3 to 4 minutes. You got 4 charts in the green all across the board. And what do? That's right, you hit the button. You hit the buy signal, whether you got in on the first, you hit a market order, you hit whether you got the first buy signal candle, second, third, and then managing it on the way up, deciding where you're going to exit the trade. How are you going to manage this? Do you exit on the first red candle, second red candle? Well, you just let it go as far as you can. Maybe you wait until it crosses the T350 and you just close out the trade at some point, or maybe the crossover, the sell signal, not exactly wanting to come back and take out your original buy. And so there was the one and only setup. One setup across the board, making 3 setups for the day on 3 markets. Taking a look at the individual NQ on the multiple time frames. Here we got the higher time frames on the right. You can see the 20 tick range chart above the T350, the 15 tick range chart above the T350. So all in the green. All in the green gives you 5 charts in the green and buy signal to the upside. Take one off. Why did I take it off there? It's the middle of the stream. That was the Fibonacci projection level. So I decided to go ahead, take a contract off there, looking for the open gap above, never actually getting it. So decided to just bail on the crossover of the T350, and that was good enough. So there's a picture of the whole session. That one and only trade. Yes, there was a nice setup in the afternoon, sell signal to the downside on 4 charts, but went ahead and held off from there. Everything else the rest of the afternoon was pretty much chopping it out. Went ahead, as we've been talking about the last couple days, watching those multiple time frames, higher tick charts up above, 20 tick up here. When this is an ES, so this is a 10 tick and a 6 tick, and here's a 5 tick on the left-hand side for the entries. So here you are in your setup this morning using the London session, European session, US Open above. US Open above that level, so the predictor here is that the long will be the favored move of the day. Doesn't mean it's going to continue upside. Obviously, we saw that today, as we'll see here in the charts in a minute. But the long position on the go. And 50 above 144 gives you 5 charts in the green now. Price action to the upside, and nice additional indicator, market internal, to show us that the trend was to the upside. All right, let's jump right into the AD line. We see AD line again at the beginning was downside, got a little lift as we saw price action move upside on the advancers, but then price action was failing, couldn't manage to get back up. So that's at the point where I probably could have exited, but again, managing on the candles alone was good enough for me. AD line really never got back upside until the late session, which we had a little bit of lift, really closing out here at the 750. You can see each level of support downside. Jumping into the 5-minute charts, taking a look at the crude. Crude again starting the session out in the 25-minute open range. Sees the Globex high, rejects it, comes back down and gets a lift in post-session for remainder of the session up to low 49s. Rest of market, ES-YM, again, that nice little lift in the morning. Average high here on the ES-YM average high. NQ up to the 1 hour open range high. That was it. And pretty much chiseled along here along the Camarilla pivot. And just pretty much sideways for the remainder of the session at the upper highs of the 25-minute open range. But again, not being able to really push the highs anymore. All right, let's take a look at the fib levels. How do we do fib level wise? That's right, we saw that V recovery here this week and price action on the fib levels. So nice tally here. Fib projection levels on the NQ upside, but not being able to hit the ES or the YM today. So NQ, nice move up to the Fibonacci's. All right, let's jump into the, let's go right into the daily time frames, daily trend. Here we go. Take a look at the, let's start with the crude here. Crude again, we saw price action chisel in the 25-minute open range. Looking for the highest probability setups right here at 9:25 Eastern Standard Time. You got a buy signal. I'd wait a candle, solid body tail up. 1, 2, and 3 charts, good enough for me. Up into the green, pull back, no move, and buy signal back again to the upside for the remainder of the session. 3 to 4 charts if you were pulled out or need a re-entry. Again, not my favorite to re-enter, but always wanting to go on the original signal. But if you did take the pullback entry, 4 charts in the green here, and very nice move, and then 4 charts back in the green up here on the crude. Taking a look at the YM again, it was that early morning rise to the upside. Buy signal on 3 charts, good enough. That was early entry, pre-market. There was the market open. Buy signal to the upside. AD line is upside. Remember downside, but then AD line gets a little move in the green to the upside, and pretty much chopped to the rest of the session. Again, you saw 4 charts in the red here. Just not my interest. Looking at other levels here on smaller time frames, just didn't work out. Take a look at the NQ here. NQ, nice move to the upside, holding upside. Again, I could have bailed right up here, but waited for the T3 moving averages to eventually cross over the T3. Had a nice setup in the afternoon session. Didn't go anywhere much on the second setup. 4 charts in the red. Always been ready in both directions and never really able to break back upside until the very end here. But end of the day session, really not interested. ES again, same move to the upside here. Again, early market here had a nice move on a buy signal on 3 charts in the green. Buy signal back upside again, and again, similar picture on the afternoon session, just decided to stay out. Taking a look at the gold. Gold again, price action to the upside here in the afternoon session on 3 charts in the green. I would have waited till I crossed that T350, and there it is. Price action to the upside in the green, and that was about the best setup. Actually, best setup also back here as the gold had opened up for the session as well. And take a look at the 6E Euro session. Again, nice move holding above the T350 here. 4 charts in the green, buy signal, a little shaky at first. Again, that's European session, US session here, pre-session here. And then once US session got going, we pretty much took it down. So sell signal right here, best entry. 3 charts in the red. At this point, price action is probably underneath the 51.44, so you're not interested in any long, as it just went ahead and gave you a V recovery, chop along, and back downside for the last move. Take a look at daily gaps. How do we do all around? Daily gaps. We closed out a daily gap here, NQ, right here, 44.1075. Very nice move. So we go ahead and close that out. Won't see that next week. We do have open gaps down below and above. So what is the probability that we continue those? Well, let's take a look at the big chart. But before we do that, let's take a look at the value profile. 600 AVPOC right down here. That was the low of the session on the YM. Here, ES, pretty content to just sit right above it, 2093.50. A little bit of a magnet here. Crude, again, finding solace right here, 48.30, 600 AVPOC. As the NQ shifts above. Nice move today. Still downside at 42.90. So what do we look for every day? We look for price action to close out former VPOCs. Hey, maybe that's the end of the line for the day. whether it's upside or downside, depending on the momentum. Again, we're looking for those as many charts in the green as possible, or many charts in the red for the short. And so we look at the daily pick. Where are we currently? Giving us a somewhat of a short-term picture to say this is the probability that maybe we'll be heading in that direction. Again, crude, which for the most part has been in a slight downtrend here, got a little lift and then confirmed, but crude pretty much in a chop here, as we can see here on the daily chart, just up, down, taking care of previous gaps, still holding above the 50 and the 200 EMA. And here we see the T3 moving averages. Again, 50 underneath 144 represents a downtrend. But again, now we have the T3.5 in a downtrend. So we're pretty much in a decision market where crude is either going to make a move to the upside or downside eventually. As we can see here, kind of waffling with that, as you just saw, went to red. So T3 moving averages might end up bringing us back down next week. We are still in a downwards trend, so no confirmation upside yet that we are headed into the green. And looking at the three indices here, again, that V recovery almost holding now above the 200 period moving averages. Good volume on the ES today, slightly below average for the YM and the NQ. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, which determines short-term trend, downward trend all the way across, still 50 below the 144s, as we can see here on the right-hand side. But we are all white on the T3 moving averages, so regardless of the 4 hours, all right, regardless of the 4 hours, when you want to get back into a trend, it's finding the crossover here, T3 moving averages back here on 629 as price action got a lift back upside, so match it up to the daily, and there was your early entry for the short-term pick to the upside. Even though we are still in a downwards trend, probability was remaining in your side to get here upside, taking the early price action trend and watching for the 50-144 reject, which we really never got resistance there, and it's simply plowed through. Now, as the 4-hour chart slowing down here, we'll see what happens. If 50 gets above the 144, we'll see if price action continues upside, which gives us a confirmed trend. If price action pulls back, watch for the resistance down here at the 51.44. So if it pulls back down next week, then what you'll want to watch for is the candles as they near these 51.44s. Watch for the solid Heikin Ashi bars to determine trend. That might be the early entry, as price action may come back down. If it finds support here and finds ourselves back in an upside trend with solid body tail up, then we have even a stronger probability of trend continuing to the upside, which would support any intraday move, as we just saw here on the daily trend that I was showing you on the multiple time frames. There was that chart. You get 5 charts in the green. You have a 4-hour chart in the green, which is just another market internal to give support to the additional trend to the upside. So great charts here. No change in strategy, just adding a little additional confirmation on higher time frames. 51.44, giving us 5 charts in the green. What a move today, both on the ES, NQ, and YM. All right, looking ahead to next week, let's scroll over to that July calendar as we look July 1st. July 4th again, holiday session. Not much going on. Watch for the European session. A little bit of volume, but not interested in looking at charts on Monday. So as we roll through the week, we have multiple Fed speakers throughout. Watch for the FOMC minutes. Always is a mover. Look to jobless claims on Thursday, and then non-farm payrolls on Friday, employment situation. So always look to that number as a determinant of what comes next. When we have a day off, always look for the gas report to be in sync with the natural gas report. They just pushed that out to the 11 o'clock hour. All right, so that's our econ data for next week. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and take a week off from Futures ETF Market Cap Leaders Supplemental Newsletter. I'll return next week on that. So I'll be adding some additional daily insight, possibly into stuff that markets that appear in the IBD newspaper over the weekends. Maybe spread that out through the week, looking for opportunities. But again, I'll hold off from the weekly technical momentum till next week, covering the futures, key indices, industrials, total stock market index. So go ahead and check out this week's information. We'll pick that up next week. All right. That concludes week 26, halfway through the year. That's the daily trend. Feel free to stop by at tradingfibs.com or any of my social media outlets to obtain more information. My trading mantra: one simple strategy, any market, any chart, any time frame will keep you disciplined. You can find me every day on Twitter at TradingFibs. And as always, I leave the crystal ball to the experts. I really only trade what's in front of me and on my charts. And as always, leave your bias at the door when trading. Hey guys, have yourselves a Blue Zone weekend, whatever you're doing, wherever you may be. Get out of your computer world, stay away from the monitors, and I'll see you next week. Good day, good night, and good trading.